Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's 3 and 9, we are going to be discussing the new Spider-Man, Don't Look Up, and the 355. Let's go. Spider-Man No Way Home is the latest installment in the Marvel Sony universe. In this third solo Spidey movie, the web-slinging hero is dealing with the fallout of his last villain, Mysterio, telling the entire world that he is Peter Parker. This revelation throws his life into chaos, despite the fact that there are several other superheroes in his universe whose identities have been publicized and they seem to be coping with it okay. For Peter Parker, it's all too much for him and his friends, and he goes to Doctor Strange and asks him to make the world forget that he is Spider-Man. This is an insanely wild request and, of course, causes some sort of rip in the time-space continuum, and multiple Spider-Man villains from other universes come out of the sky to confront who they believe is their Peter Parker. This movie was fine. I don't know. I've already done a video about it and I am just a little underwhelmed with the MCU lately. I really feel like the Endgame was the apex and everything else afterwards has yet to reach the incitement, the intrigue and necessity of the previous films. It's just becoming really hard to review these films because the outcomes all feel the exact same way. And there are way too similar action set pieces and the same old endings. One thing's fixed and another problem crops up. A part of me feels dumb for pointing out how episodic the MCU is, but these installments never feel fresh and new, and that's a problem. And Tom Holland's Spider-Man has yet to come into his own personality. All of his appearances prior to this film are so intertwined with Tony Stark's existence that it made the character still feel really alien. And then there's the nostalgia of it all. The whole movie is a blast from the past. Without spoiling anything, it kind of pays homage to the Spider-Man films that come before, but at the end, it truly just feels like it's all lip service. The most talked about, poorly kept secret of No Way Home is not really that impressive at all. They do nothing exciting or poignant with the big surprises. And if a movie merely exists to remind you of the better movies that came before it, is it really a successful film? I don't think so. Holland's Spider-Man is dealing with dilemmas that don't necessarily have anything to do with him. I am just begging for Peter Parker to come into his own identity in the MCU. The way the movie ends kind of points to Peter becoming determined to learn who he really is on his own, and that is a promising storyline, but I'm not holding my breath for things to change. I don't think I really need to recommend this film or not. I think if you're a fan of Spider-Man and you're really wanting a shot of nostalgia, then this may make you feel warm and happy for a few moments. But if you're not an MCU fan, I'm certain you are already going to skip this and there's no need to convince you. Up next is Don't Look Up, Adam McKay's political satire on Netflix that chronicles two scientists attempting to warn the world of an impending catastrophic comet heading straight to Earth. But no one around them seems to care enough. I really enjoyed this honestly terrifying film. I think it does a really good job of mocking the media's lack of focus and its inability to cover serious topics with the urgency needed, and how so many politicians will do absolutely nothing at all for the people they serve if it does not help them personally. It's really brutal in its bleak yet mostly accurate depiction of what our world would look like if it was coming to an end. The tone and editing is unmistakably from Adam McKay's mind, and while you can say that it's just his style, the tone feels so familiar to the point where you can't fully understand or appreciate the message he's attempting to convey. His utterly frantic editing style can really distract you or make you roll your eyes before you want to take in his sermon. But the performances are really good. Mark Rylance and Leonardo DiCaprio are the only ones that came prepared to work every day. Mark Rylance plays this utterly deranged tech billionaire that has his own plans for the comet, and DiCaprio is one of the scientists who tries to warn the world about the comet, but is quickly seduced by the fame and respect that he receives. I think it's a well done satire that is more heavy on messaging than wit, but I still think it's worth your while. Be advised though, maybe don't watch it when you're in a funk about the state of the world, because this certainly will not help you in the least bit, and I think you'll fall deeper into your depression. Finally, we have The 355, an all-female action film starring Jessica Chastain, Lupita Nyong'o, Penelope Cruz, Diane Kruger, and Bing Fan. These terrorists have captured a hard drive that can cause destruction and calamity around the world. So the women who work for intelligence agencies around the world team up together to retrieve the drive. Listen, the script for this movie is capital C corny, but I actually did have a lot of fun watching it, and it makes me wonder why marketing for the movie dropped the ball so terribly, because there are some nuggets of goodness in there. I think I first heard of this movie when Lupita announced production for it a really long time ago on her social media. And the next time I heard about it was this week when the movie was released. This is the type of movie that I think people are constantly asking for from Hollywood, yet there was no fanfare at all for this movie about women fighting and solving crimes. The one thing I can think of that contributed to this, despite COVID making people hesitant to go back to theaters, is the cast, unfortunately. All of the women are phenomenal actresses. Lupita, Jessica, and Penelope have been nominated for Oscars. Lupita and Penelope won, excuse me. But neither of these women are box office draws on their own, let alone collectively. The movies they typically pick aren't mega blockbusters, so I'm not really understanding what the argument was that people would come out in droves to watch them. Imagine if Zendaya was one of these agents, or Issa Rae, or Scarlett Johansson, or Margot Robbie, any woman who has demonstrated that they can carry movies and projects that are really popular. Jennifer Lawrence, anyone like that. I just don't really understand the decision to cast them, and I think the movie does suffer for it. Kruger is like the only one that seems comfortable fighting people and running for long distances and shooting. Everyone else seems really stuffy and like a little bit unsure of what exactly their character is supposed to be. And let's get into this script. It is just so corny. There's no other word for it. From the jump, you can tell it's supposed to be some girl boss feminist movie, which is fine. It was implied, and that's enough, and it was good. But then the script starts spelling it out letter by letter that this is about capable female agents. Did you know this was about female agents? It's about female agents that are strong and powerful and smart and capable. And I'm like, what is this? Who needs that spelled out for them with this type of movie? There are two moments where one male character says to another male character, "How could you let them beat you up? They're women." That is a line that is said twice in a movie that premiered in 2022. There are several other moments when the characters are trying to shoehorn in gender politics in weird asides in the midst of an action movie, and it simply just falls flat. It even does this thing where it takes tropes from action movies starring males and they just try and put it into this movie. Like, they even mention James Bond, and some of the characters are kind of fashioned like him, and it's really unnecessary. And I just think, don't try and make action female stars like male stars. Just make new, creative, fresh action movies for actresses. I don't really know how press junkets work, but the stars also didn't do that much press for it either. Jessica Chastain, I think, did 2 of the late night shows, and Penelope Cruz was with her for one of them. I think Lupita Nyong'o, I on YouTube, she did one interview about the movie with an outlet I've never even heard of. Same for Diane Kruger. Just one really quick interview about the film for some random outlet, and she looked so bored explaining the movie. It was kind of funny. But beyond that, there really wasn't any sort of marketing traffic for this movie, which is really confusing, and then makes you understand why it's not doing well. Did I have fun watching? I did. Again, Kruger is sincerely convincing as an action star, and I actually would want to see more of her character. The plot also is not bad, even though it did become deeply predictable at one point. I would not recommend that you pay money to see this movie, but if you are wanting to see more women in the action adventure genre, I'd say give this a whirl if you are ever bored on a Saturday night. And that is the Mondasier critique. I'll see you guys later.